Warning, this video has spoilers. Even if you enjoy my videos, I highly recommend playing these games first. Watching this video can very much spoil one of the most, if not the most interesting stories in all of gaming. This video is designed for people who have played the games and are familiar with them. So, I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you're expecting me to be talking primarily about the ending. Well, if you thought that, you're right. But I'm not going to just jump in because it's complicated. You know, Danganronpa is a series I liked. The first two games were really fun. The anime finale was flawed, but still good. And the series had so much supplemental material that there was always something else for fans to consume. It was a well-sustained franchise. But after the finale and my dude Makoto becoming headmaster, the next game in the series was confirmed to be a new story. Cool. I'm glad that they're trying to do something new with the series, but it soon went all wrong. So if you don't know the twist and don't care about it being spoiled, the game's gimmick is that nothing is actually going on. What is actually happening is what we assume to be a reality TV show or some shit, and nothing ever really happened. I'll explain why that didn't work later, but right now I have to talk about the prologue and how it foreshadowed the ending. So the game starts, and the first thing we see is a montage of all the Danganronpas so far. It turns out to be foreshadowing for something new, and I'll be fair and say it was clever. But then they say, this story is not over. A new killing game will begin again. Oh, so I guess the canon isn't over. Maybe they changed their mind. Maybe it's the same canon, just separated from the Hope's Peak arc. That's what they treated the story like for most of the game. Thinking about how openly admitting to the twist Danganronpa version 3 was in its prologue does make me feel kinda stupid. The "this story isn't over" shtick was supposed to be the Team Danganronpa saying that they were going to do another season of the show. I just assumed at first Team Danganronpa was just something they formed during development similar to Sonic Team. So I was feeling good, even though the game was literally telling me that it was all fictional and the story wasn't actually happening. But I then remember that this is nothing new. Danganronpa often breaks the fourth wall. I just assumed that's what was going on. You know, a bit of trippy shit to tease the player. Danganronpa 2 loved doing this. I wasn't being dumb when I didn't assume it was all a computer simulation because of a few code-looking textures. I just assumed that they were teasing me. But part of me was really concerned. I kind of saw the twist coming. I was scared that it was all a lie. This game was pretty honest with you that it was all fake. And I have to once again compliment its clever storytelling on how well it added its themes to this whole mess of a story. Danganronpa version 3 loves its themes, and I'll submit and say that I love them too. The basic conflict in the story isn't the generic hope versus despair this time. It is instead the conflict of whether it's better to always face the truth and accept all possibilities, or find belief in what can be lies. And it was really well implemented. So much so that the whole story was a fucking lie. So you see the surprisingly well done foreshadowing, and then we have the Danganronpa version 3 cast. Then they throw around the word, remember. And all I wanted was this game to be just pranking me. Once everyone has their talents, the entire game is pretty normal by Danganronpa standards. Kaede starts talking about her history, and I'm crossing my fingers, hoping, just fucking hoping, that I was being joked on. That all of Kaede's history actually happened. Alright, let's hit the fast forward button. I knew Shuichi was hiding in a Hoge, and for most of the story, I was sailing smoothly. Eventually I had forgotten about most of the prologue and was just enjoying another Danganronpa game. Most of the story they were remembering shit from the Hope's Peak universe. And cool, the flashlight of memory was cool even though we had kinda done it before. But I decided to stay optimistic. Fifth case comes and it turns out the world is destroyed. Oh no. The apocalypse already happened, but it was a different apocalypse. One that came after the tragedy. Okay, there's probably a catch. It's probably just a prank. They wouldn't show the whole world destroyed during the fifth fucking case, right? Right? Well yeah. Turns out it's not the complete story, and like the other games, Danganronpa V3's fifth case is the one where everything falls apart. Okay, chapter 6. Wow, I get to use the power of friendship to crush boulders? Cool. Time limit? Fine. Still cool. Wow, Kokichi actually led a bunch of pranksters. That's a funny plot twist. Rantaro was the ultimate survivor? Wow, all the memories were fake? Huh, I guess that means the solution to the mystery can be anything. Fun. Alright, on to the trial. We're going to find out what's really happening. Wow, this is getting real interesting. So the mastermind was Tsumugi. Wow, I wonder what her story was. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit!
It's Junko Enoshima!
Oh.
Even if it's boring or repetitive, she's always the mastermind, isn't she?
Oh. Danganronpa. At least the Monokubs are gone. Oh, okay, so it's Junko again. Maybe it's a robot or some shit? This series is weird. 53rd? 53rd? 55 Roman numerals. Oh shit! Yeah, that's pretty clever. Danganronpa V3's true name is Danganronpa 53. Wow, what a cool twist. So has the ultimate despair somehow survived and has been hosting killing games for years? Wow, that's quite the twist. Just kidding. No, as I said earlier, Danganronpa V3 is fictional. Fictional within the game. Nothing that the game wanted to happen ever happened. It's a TV show loved by us, or the people within the many layers of canon and irony in this story this game is trying to thread. The next 3 fucking hours are just the game covering its ass and trying to explain to its fans why they shouldn't be pissed. But when Danganronpa tells me that the game is fictional, it takes the characters a bit to realize that they're fictional too. But somehow self-aware and shit. All the backstory? Bullshit. All the character? Bullshit. The talents, the families, everything that made these characters feel real is all fake. Not just in real life, but within the game. The game is reminding me of how these characters aren't real. Whatever. It's interesting commentary on our relationships with video games, you know, except for the fact that this is throwing your characters away. What Danganronpa V3 misses is that there's nothing truly material when they pull this card. There's some weird grasps of self-awareness the students get, but there's no facts for them to rely on. I wanted them to have purpose. I wanted to believe in them. I wanted to believe in them. Oh, for fuck's sake. You got me, Team Danganronpa. You fucking got me. You wanted me to stop worrying about what actually happened and just believe in the story I was giving. Very fucking clever. Kaito's mumblings had purpose, huh? This is what bothers me. The game knows what it's doing when it pulls the, nah, it's just a game card. And it pulls the card so well. But I think the best way to describe it is, you can tell everyone you're going to take a shit on the floor. You can dance around and do a backflip before taking a shit on the floor. But you're still going to be taking a shit on the floor. Just like how Danganronpa took a shit on its own story and fanbase. The thing that makes this script hard to write is that the ending has a sense of meaning the player can find for themselves. But the game is so unconfident that it has to do some heavy gymnastics to even find a conclusion. They have to mock fans, poke holes in any theories, and justify any set logic to make the story make sense. My first experience with this ending was one of confusion and distaste. Are they even dead? Are they people? But upon revisiting it, it makes a bit more practical sense. After some thinking and research, I found a bit of understanding in the ending. Here's what I understand the meaning of the Danganronpa 53 ending is. After years of Danganronpa video games and anime, they decided to make it a reality TV show. They had real volunteers go in and kill each other for the world's excitement for years and years. The show became longer running than The Simpsons, and eventually they reached their 53rd season. A bunch of underage children volunteered to risk their lives and become characters in the series. The kids had their memories deleted and rebuilt to give them new personalities and designs. Whatever was their original beings were lost. They killed each other and they became aware of the lies that built up the Danganronpa series. So yeah, it made some sense, at least according to the Danganronpa wiki. But even with that, the dialogue doesn't really fit the explanation, because the game doesn't portray any of its messages very clearly in the final chapter. This is why my fondest memories are of the first Danganronpa game. It felt like I was solving a mystery. There were no cop-outs. The cases were a bit simpler and less interesting, but the mystery of the entire game didn't fall back on some catch-all mechanic, like the Neo World programmer. Bro, it was a social experiment.
No, he's everything I have. No.
The game makes fun of their own shitty ending, and that's really it. I am impressed at how well Danganronpa V3 foreshadowed its entire story and explained it all away, but I'm not impressed at how convoluted and fluffed up it is, because that's what happened. You can ignore all the mumbo-jumbo they're saying about the audience and the fiction, and what's really left? Not much. Just a bunch of teens who volunteered to kill each other, who had their brains mutilated trying to escape the mess they might have gotten into. Or maybe it's a bunch of drawn characters coming to life and denying being fictional. Maybe we're the outside world. The characters are telling us to fuck ourselves. Or maybe it's a bunch of Japanese men writing about a world within a world within a world and trying to explain it away. And once they can, they just end it off right there. It feels like the game doesn't want me to enjoy it. Maybe I've just had too many postmodern absurdist endings in video games. Maybe I've just had my share of Undertale, Stanley Parable, Zero Escapes, and more. I've been pretty kind to the rest of the game as a whole in this video, because, well, this game may have had the best cast, the best music, the best cases, and more, but once the game needed to make the big decision, it chickened out. I guess I just wanted to believe in the world. I wanted these characters to be real. I can't enjoy them if their stories are all fake. I know how well the themes are written in, I love how well the story is paced, but it just sucks that instead of a traditional ending they just said it was fictional, shielded criticism, and ran off. I know it was the point, but the lack of definite answers bothers me. The whole explanation is floating around 2 points, but it doesn't want to commit to anything. So what's left is a puzzle piece that can be put in places, but it doesn't really fit anywhere. I can see why people like it. The games have always been down with absurd endings, and in some ways this is no different. But this time it just went too far. It just killed any relationship I had with the game. The 30+ hours I spent with the characters felt meaningless. I can't geek out about them like I used to. It all just seems so fake. So yeah, that's what, in my opinion, new Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony did wrong. What do you think about the game? Did you like it? Dislike it? Did you enjoy the ending? Or are you on my boat? Feel free to add to the discussion in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.